such a time as this.
And welcome to For Such a Time as This. I am your host, Pastor James Pittman, with our next installment in the book of Revelation. As we said before, Revelation should not be read linear. It loops. It goes from different vantage points. Once you reach the 7-year tribulation, it loops. It loops. And so here is the next loop. The next loop is from Revelation 7:1 and ends Revelation 8:1. The beginning of the loop. After this, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth. It ends in 8:1. When the Lamb opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven for about an hour. So that's where the loop begins. That's where the loop ends. Going to take this time to highlight just 3 main points in this loop. Look at this one, Revelation 7:1. It's 7:1 through 4. After this, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth. Look at this, that no wind might blow on earth or sea or against any tree. Then I saw another angel ascending from the rising of the sun with the seal of the living God. And he called with a loud voice to the 4 angels who had been given power to harm earth and sea, saying, "Do not harm the earth or the sea or the trees until we have sealed the servants of our God on their foreheads." So what is this telling us? This is telling us that the earth is not being burned. The plagues haven't started. So this has to be at the beginning, before the Great Tribulation, which I believe is the first 3.5 years of the 7-year tribulation. When he starts to pour out the wrath, the bowls, the seals, that's at the end. That's at the 3.5 years, the last 3.5 years of the 7. So this lets us know that what he's talking about is the first 3.5 years, those years in which he is going to deal with Israel. Those years, 3.5 years, in which a large gathering of Israel into the faith happens. That's before the Great Tribulation. That's before the wrath of God is poured out on the earth. How do we know? He's talking to the angels. Do not harm the earth until we seal up the nation of Israel. Here's the next thing in this loop. Verse 9. After this I looked, and behold, a great multitude that no one could number, from every nation, from all tribes and peoples and languages, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed in white robes with palm branches in their hands, and crying out with a loud voice, "Salvation belongs to our God, who sits on the throne, and to the Lamb." And all the angels were standing around the throne. Look at what's going on in verse 11. The white robes are there before the thrones. We know where they're from. They're from everywhere. Multitude, no one. They're from every nation, tribe, peoples, languages. And they're where? By the throne. And who's with them? Verse 11, and all the angels were standing around the throne and around the elders and the 4 living creatures. And they fell on their faces before the throne and worshiped God, saying, Amen. Blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be to our God forever and ever. Amen. You have those in white robes. I believe those who were saved from Adam up until the Great Tribulation. You see them standing where? Before the throne. With whom? The elders and angels. We know where they're from. We know who they are. The angels are there. The elders are there. They're worshiping God together in the white robes. Here's the last verse. Watch this. Then you go to Revelation 13. What does it say? Then one of the elders addressed me, saying, who are these clothed in white robes, and from where have they come? Now, either these elders have amnesia, or they're talking about a different set of those clothed in white robes. I think it's a different set. Then one of the elders addressed me, saying, who are these clothed in white robes? It seems like there's new people to the party. Who are these? These clothed in white robes. And from where have they come? These elders, they don't know where they come from. So either he has amnesia because we know where they're from earlier in the chapter, or there's a new separate group, those clothed in white. And this elder is saying, we don't know where they come from. Where have they come from? Where have they come? And I said to him, verse 14, sir, you know. And he said to me, these are the ones coming out of the great tribulation. They have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Why are they different? Why do I think they're different? Here's my answer. Revelation 20 says, those who are going to partake in the first resurrection, they're going to come back with Christ and rule. They're going to rule on earth with Christ in the millennial kingdom. I think those saints are in like a holding place for the 3.5 years, because you're going to see, we saw earlier, they said, how much longer? How much longer, Lord, before you avenge our blood? And Jesus says earlier, patience. There's some more coming out of the Great Tribulation. I think these are separate believers, because in Revelation 20, it says that the believers who died under the tyranny of the Antichrist, they come back with Christ. And in chapter 20 of Revelation, it says, not those who died before, only those believers. He makes a distinction very clear in chapter 20. Only those who died underneath the Antichrist, they're going to come back. And I think you begin to see the separation of those believers who die in the Great Tribulation and those believers who died before the Great Tribulation. You see that distinction all throughout, at several points throughout Revelation. And I think that's the first one. Later on, Christ is going to say, blessed is he who dies from this point forward. Why? Because I believe they come back, rule with Christ for 1,000 years. That's it for this installation. I see you next time.
For such a time as this,